As people get ready to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, the Selma to Montgomery March, and passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts just opened a show of photographs taken by Spider Martin in those days that impacted the perceptions of people the world over at the time. Curator Margaret Lynn Osfield speaks of the beautiful yet troubling images digitally restored on a grand scale that, along with the coverage of the new medium of television, really impacted Americans' understanding of what was happening at the time. Yet still, they speak powerfully today about the never-ending struggle for freedom from oppression.
As an artist, I think that Spider Martin really captured beautiful compositions, some of which are very troubling, and some of which are beautiful in their intensity and their passion. The fact that it went to some of the national media, eventually the march was covered on television, was available to be seen by more people in that at that time, I think really impacted Americans' understanding of what was happening.
Bill Ford, president of the museum board, said he was most impacted by the image of a woman laying on the ground as a state trooper holding a billy club stood over her.
This picture of the state trooper standing over Amelia Boynton, it really hit me. It's so impactful. This woman of color is actually laying on the ground unconscious, and the cruelty and the callousness of the photograph is just so visceral. It hit me so hard. It brings back this sense of hopelessness and terror that existed at that time for people of color in Alabama.
The pictures in history are powerful, says Amy Hastings of Montgomery.
The photos are powerful. The whole history is powerful. I was born in 1954. I feel like I grew up around this history and lived in Alabama while all this was happening, and it never ceases to just move me to tears. It's a story that needs to be told and retold, and it's a truth that we simply cannot let pass.
Christopher Burson of Birmingham focused on a picture of a white man from Maine who is shown sitting down to rest along the march and shows the blisters on his feet. Is anything sticking out among the pictures that you stand out in what you've seen?
Yes. Even today, we still have some of the same fight. I was just looking at a picture where a guy drove all the way from Maine and he had blisters on his feet, and he didn't look like me. So I wish my people would understand we're not in this alone.
Sidney Jarman, Museum Marketing and Public Relations Manager, focused on the picture of a black man wearing a denim jacket with an emblem of the Confederate battle flag on the back. I'm asking people about pictures that were particularly impactful or had a emotional response or whatever from them. So you picked this picture, so can you describe the picture and tell me why?
Absolutely. So this is a picture of one of the marchers with a denim jacket on the back that has an emblem of the Confederate flag with the words "Alabama Goddamned" on it. And I love this picture because it's obviously inspired by the Nina Simone song, Mississippi Goddamn. And I think it's just such a beautiful interjection of how music and art and clothing and all of the things help make this movement exactly what it is. It wasn't just one particular piece. Like everything had to come together. And if people couldn't march, they sold clothes. If people couldn't sell clothes, they gave food to the marchers. And everyone, the community just rallied around. And of course, with Nina Simone as sort of like the soundtrack to the movement, I love it.
Karen Graffio, the graphic artist who worked on the restoration of the 60-year-old 35mm negatives, said there were several that were emotional for her, especially one showing movement leader John Lewis in a raincoat. When she zoomed out to look at the dark spots on the coat, she realized it was blood.
And how I would like for them to be seen as you are at Spider's camera and as it is happening in the right now history of life. And so in removing the scratches and the damages with the negatives, it gave us the opportunity to show the history as now. There were several that were particularly emotional. I was working on John Lewis's raincoat, and there were a lot of dark marks. And I thought, that's odd. That isn't what damage usually looks like. And I zoomed out to look at the context and realized that it was blood. And I think we're in one of those times now where this body of work functions like the angel of history.
Glynn Wilson for Alabama Public Radio.